How's it going, lazy bruises? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Head as Code. It's time for our first actual decision here. I don't really know what I'm basing it on at this stage. It's just going to be random, I guess. Whatever I feel. And then next time, we might have more of an idea if it's going to change anything, where we're going to be heading. Let's talk to these two. These two are fascinating. There's something the matter, young man. You're undecided on speaking to any of them? No, I was just wondering, what do you think of the situation? It is somewhat hard to say for now. I cannot hide the fact that I would be, like everyone else, much happier outside. Until then, though, I can impart some of my thoughts on our companions, perhaps. That might be good. The old man could help me understand who I was going to deal with. Let's see. From an outsider perspective, the ones known as J and M are pretty normal people. I get the feeling M will be the one to uplift everyone's mood, but J, she seems a little difficult to read. There may be a certain duality to her that I've yet to understand. I wanted to interrupt him and defend my friend, but I also considered his words. He wasn't wrong. The twins, they're young, are they not? If my hunch is correct, one of them looks much more frightened than the other, so she must understand our predicament better than the hot-headed one. As for Ray, I can already see him becoming a bit of a nuisance against the integrity of everyone in this strange gathering. It is such a strange gathering, in fact, it reminds me of when I was a little younger. I had to stop his monologue before he gave me his life story. Alright, that's fine. I understand. Something's happening over there. I had to stop him anyway because the screen behind everyone had begun giving some loud static. Silently, we split up, heading toward the screen to see what was happening. When I joined the others, I quickly made an inventory of everyone's states of being. The twins were holding their hands over their ears since the noise was pretty loud. Honestly, I was close to doing much the same. Jasmine and Marco watched it, waiting expectantly. Of everyone, they were the calmest of the bunch. Ray was being aggravated by it. His hands were curled up into fists as if he was about to punch the thing into next Tuesday. E didn't seem any different than usual. Granted, she was deaf, which explained why she couldn't hear it. A was slightly nervous despite his usual countenance. I prepared myself for what would be shown, both of my hands closing in fists. Once the noise cleared up, someone showed up on the screen. He had a strange mask on, which seemed to cover his entire head. Just as strangely, he was dressed in a cultist robe, and his hands were completely covered with bandages. I couldn't tell if this was a man or a woman. Smile and shine, everyone. I'm Smiley. Please listen carefully to all that I'll say, as I'll not repeat it. You'll be missing crucial details to your survival if you choose to ignore me. I looked at the others briefly. Everyone seemed as puzzled as I was, except for E. A would have to communicate everything to her afterwards, most likely. The distorted voice resumed its speech. You were in the Metro, Montreal's underground transit system. Much how like Montreal survives on its population, you are my lifeblood. Your goal is to win this game we will play together. The dating game. I understand a game cannot be won without a set of predefined rules, so 3 will be given to you. As many as the laws of robotics. The first one will follow this brief explanation over an important element. You all have a collar with a number on each of them. Specifically, the numbers 1 through 8. To see those numbers, you will need someone else to push the red button on the back, which is when it will temporarily appear. This collar is extremely important, as it is both your salvation and your demise. You are 8 participants, but none of you can, as you are now, pass through any of the numerous gates leading back outside. The reason is simple. Your collars do not show the number 9. This would be rule 1. To escape this place, you must team up with an additional person. If you break this rule by leaving through one of the many scanner gates before you find them, you will be severely punished. So we have to find a 9th person, team up with them, and then we can leave? Shh, it's important. Smiley continued, as if this was only a recording. Once you figure out the person who will help you leave, 2 among you will be allowed to do so. As for rule 2, it is closely tied to the name of this game, the dating game. As you may have realized, if you remembered how you arrived here, it is meant to bring you to numerous stations in pairs. On every single station except for the one you're currently on, you are forbidden to enter the staircase with more than one partner. Breaking this rule will instantly punish you as well. Even though you can take the train and stop at any station, the train will not leave unless you have solved the station it stops at, or a group of 2 leaves the train and the door closes behind them. In essence, you must solve each station as they come. For now, you only go in one direction, unless you would like to take your chances by crossing over the rails. I would strongly suggest against it. It is not forbidden, but if a train should arrive at the same moment, your death would be a terrible accident. It's locking our progress. As for Rule 3, it's more of a piece of information than a rule. If you are to be punished, it will always be in the same way. Decapitation. The word sent a tremor of anxiety throughout the group. H and G were both horrified. Jasmine was staring blankly and Marco's arms were crossed. On the other side, A was frowning and Ray was fuming angrily. I did say that the collars were two things, your salvation and your demise. The interior has a feature you cannot see from the outside, a red lining, which is the demise part. Breaking any of these rules will cause that lining to form a full circular laser, which will detach your head and cauterize the wound. I wouldn't want to make any more of a mess than necessary. As part of this rule, you're also forbidden from breaking this collar. If it determines enough force is applied, it will punish you. I believe I've spoken long enough. Please do not underestimate the collars you wear. They are made of nigh indestructible alloy. Even the strongest among you would not survive their punishment. Let us wish you never see me on a screen again, because my smile is a smile which can kill. And just like that, the screen shut down. Everyone seemed rather panicked. Sweat was dripping off my forehead, and the thought that this was actually real and I had a death machine installed around my neck. We're gonna die, aren't we? It's okay, sis. I'll protect you against that chuckle fuck. Well, this sucks big time. Can anyone here call a helicopter? You think a helicopter's gonna help? You moron, we're underground if you didn't notice. Hey, I was just making a joke. Is this the time to make a joke? It's no use to lose our calm, everyone. I agree. We can't let this bother us, or we've already lost. Please don't panic until we made sense of this. But Ray disregarded her words, instead reaching for his collar. He slid his thumbs underneath it with great effort, as the collar was snug against his neck. Fuck that, I'm gonna destroy this bullshit collar. I don't care what the smiling fuckhead told us. This shit is tiny and should break in seconds. Wait, that's really not a good idea. But he was already pulling on it. Almost immediately, the back of his collar lit up like a red alarm. He instantly released it, realizing it was indeed a strong alloy. Ah, fuck. I'm not dying here, you hear me? Stop this shit right now, I get it. Everyone watched from the sidelines, but ultimately the alarm stopped. Ray seemed to have gotten lucky. He leaned over looking extremely tired. I couldn't blame him. Just be grateful it didn't go through with it. I think next time it won't be so lenient. Ray grumbled something, but I changed the subject to something more important to the matter at hand, while he went to punch the door without any results. Did you guys notice how he spoke? It was like a recording. Like that was said a while ago. What's the problem with that? I sure wouldn't want to do this live if it was me doing it. I'd be stressed out like hell. Now consider the reason why it's set that way. What if it was because he's among us? I realised that might not have been the most intelligent thing to say as panic rippled throughout the group. Everyone looked at each other, not sure who to trust. I came back from his talk with E. A came back with his talk from E. He told her what Smiley said, most likely. That's possible. I suppose we'll need to keep our eyes open then. That was ironic coming from him. That guy, he kinda has Gray's build, doesn't he? Maybe it's him. Why would I put myself into a death trap? Think before you speak. My name's not Gray, it's Ray. You said two dumb things back to back. I thought it was pretty good for a joke at least. Maybe the twins were trying to lift the mood a little. Jasmine sighed very loudly and shook her head. No, I don't think we could tell so easily. The fact that they looked big only means that it could be any of us wearing a number of things to appear bigger. Could be, for example, S wearing a bunch of foam under a robe to appear bigger, standing on stilts to appear taller. And then you've been had. Thinking it's Ray. Yeah, that. See? She's not dumb at least. But more importantly, I know none of you trust anyone else now. But we need to do what he says. We need to check our collars to take the train. Oh, that's right. We still don't know our numbers. Let's do that. Very quickly, we all checked each other's numbers. Numbers 1 through 4 were G, me, Marco, and A respectively. H, Ray, E, and Jasmine were numbers 5 through 8. Just as we thought. No one had the number 9. Strangely too, our colour numbers also had a colour. G had green, I had blue, Marco had orange, A had yellow, H had aqua, Ray had white, E had red, and Jasmine had purple. Of course it wouldn't be so easy, huh? Huh, and what are these weird colours? It wouldn't be much of a game if we could solve it in seconds. While we checked our collars, the train slowly arrived at the station. Its doors opened like a yawning abyss representing our futures. After several moments of inertia, I asked what everyone was thinking. Is the train waiting for us? Jasmine stared at me accusingly. I shrugged in retaliation. I was the only one who opposed that thought earlier, but maybe it was true? Well, we don't have a choice. I don't think anyone really wanted to go down the tunnel earlier, and this is safe. Safe enough, at least. Ray grunted in dissatisfaction. Let's split into 4 groups of 2 then. I think, for many of us, this would be rather easy to determine. Fuck that. If I end up with that smiley fuckhead, what if they get me, huh? You're the one who's afraid of that? But no, you're wrong. It's safer this way, actually, because, listen. If we're in groups of 2 and someone comes back alone, what does it mean, you think? That's right. The only one who comes back would be super suspicious. I don't think anyone will act out if we all take a station at the same time. Which means that it's the best course of action. Marco changed the subject, inquiring about our location instead. This side of the station is going towards the north side, right? It wouldn't make any sense if it went through the other way, that's true. We're going north then. We'd been heading towards the north earlier, after all. If we left the train, we were on the east side of the station. Let's go in. If we stay here too long, we'll die of hunger or dehydration. Or even worse, if something else happened. Like a fight breaking out, I thought? With Ray around, that was possible. He already looked angry again. He seems to be perpetually angry. The sooner we're out, the earlier we can return to our lives, right? For now, at the very least, I'm in favour of doing what Smiley says. Otherwise, we can't get out right now. Do you get it now, Ray? H, G, you both good? What about you, A? Are you good with E? All of them nodded. The groups all naturally split up among those who arrived together. That means poor Marco has to go with Ray. H went with G, A was the only one who could communicate with E, so he went with her, and for us, it was actually more complicated. I could go with Jasmine or Marco, but Ray would be alone. However, if we were meant to split up demanding on our links, that means I needed to go with Marco. What sort of link could Jasmine and Ray have shared? Hey, Earth to S, respond. Huh? We can split the team any way you like. I don't mind if you pick who should go with Ray. Yeah, who has to babysit him? Ray narrowed his eyes in this direction. Yeah, I don't trust Marco with Ray in the end. I felt like a fight would really break out if I put them together, which meant I really didn't have much of a choice. I felt like Jasmine could handle whatever Ray could throw at her, so I went with Marco. Besides, maybe this is how the pairs were meant to be. But we all arrived in a specific configuration. We've changed that configuration. Marco and Ray arrived together. Besides, maybe this is how the pairs are meant to be. We had a link somehow. No, wait, wouldn't it be the other way? I'd known Jasmine for far longer than I'd known Marco. Huh? What was I thinking all of a sudden? Was I trying to crack some kind of weird code? It's like I was taking pleasure at solving this situation. I shook my head to clear it up. Maybe I'd just been underground for too long, if this kind of kidnapping was any fun to me. Okay, Jay, you're with Ray and I'll go with him. Is that fine by you? She slowly nodded at me. For some reason I felt as though she was dissatisfied with the outcome despite having given me the choice. At least Ray and Marco wouldn't fight. Everyone had their team set now. Since we couldn't access the other side of the station, there was only one direction we could take. The twins entered the train first. After noting it wasn't moving yet, my group followed suit. I figured the system was automated to some degree, or maybe the mastermind behind all this could see us. A shiver ran up my spine at that thought. Were the scanners on the door or something? Cameras we couldn't see? Suddenly I grew very self-conscious. Don't think too much about it. I did earlier and well, things didn't go very well for my head. She sighed in discouragement, closing her eyes for a moment. I wordlessly agreed with her. The doors closed and we were greeted by a pre-recorded speech telling us what the next station was. Pro Chain Station? Garde Manager. With all this, I'd almost forgotten. The train had French diction here. Well, that's going to be a pain for me. It seemed the next station was a Garde... Oh, Manger. Manger? Whatever that was. Normally I'd just sit down and stare blankly at a wall to see which of us would blink first. But since we were just a handful, I figured some chatter wouldn't hurt. The real question was about the best topic to pick. Oh, okay. The train's direction, maybe? Was anyone else taking the train when they were abducted? Yeah, I was. You noticed it too, huh? The direction we were going in. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Why do you say that? Think about it, Em. We were moving toward the north side before, but our destination is down from the midpoint. We're going toward the south now, or southwest if you prefer. Huh? We were? For once, that left him speechless. I nodded. Yeah, that's definitely weird. I don't know what's going on, but the whole train changed directions in the span of a moment. Or maybe we're not in the same train anymore. What do you mean? She's saying we switched trains, but we just forgot. I don't really feel like I forgot anything, personally, but whatever. He waved dismissively at the air with a hand. Next station coming in shortly. The air was so tense once we arrived at the station that I caught myself holding my breath. The doors finally opened, but no one was in a hurry to leave. I guess we'll go, shall we? Station Garde Manger. Excuse my pronouncing French things, I don't know anything about it. Well, I guess we don't have a choice. The doors aren't closing, so if what Smiley said was true, two of us would have to leave here. I don't mind going first, but if anyone else wants to, I also wouldn't mind that. Knowing him, he really didn't want to leave the train yet. Maybe he was afraid of what could happen. I looked at the others and eventually the old man smiled. Very well, we'll be taking this station then. Please grant me a moment to let E know. I examined the station outside the window while he was doing that. It was remarkably similar to the one we were previously at. Large metal plates covering the wall. Whoever Smiley was, whatever he did in life, somehow, he could have the equipment to modify every single station of this subway. Before I managed to frighten myself more, the old man saluted us to take his departure. We shall see each other again, I hope. If not, safe travels, and I shall pray for you to make it out alive. He left the train, followed by the girl. The two of them waved at us. Rather, the old man waved at us, but E waved in an empty compartment. Poor girl. The two of them continued forward until they stepped through the open doorway. As soon as E vanished inside, the door slid to a closed state with a soft thump. After that, the doors to the train closed as well, and we set off once more. This time without two of the passengers. Pro Chain Station. Oh my god. Bibliothèque? I figured I could keep talking to the others while we were in here, but before I could do so, Marco said something. I'm starting to get hungry and I don't really know why. Yeah, me too now that you mention it. Hey, you know how hunger works, right? What do you mean? When you get hungry, you don't really get hungry the way we think we do. Like, there's some emptiness in your stomach and it growls, right? Yeah, that's how I know I'm hungry. In reality, it's just some kind of signal. Your body's like, hey, I'm not digesting anymore and there's some free space, send food. And then your brain receives the message. I guess. You're the science man here, so I don't know about all that. Man, didn't you have biology classes? You should know all this already. If I had to guess, that was far too long ago for both of us. I've been working for a few years now, so I never had the opportunity to think about it again. Yeah, besides, we don't have the time to really talk about it. Oh yeah, next station's coming. If you want, I'll tell you about it later. I'll pass, I think. Noticing how his expression dropped, I sighed and surrendered myself to his wiles. Come on, I'm sure it's fascinating. Fine, okay. But later. Once again, the doors opened, and once again, nobody moved. This time around, I decided to take the lead. I gathered up my courage and stepped forward. Alright, Em. It's our turn now. Okay. I guess we can go now that we know it's not going to kill us. Wouldn't make any sense if it did, don't you think? At any rate, let's see each other later, everyone. Come back in one piece too. That means you're not allowed to lose your fingers or your arm or even your hair. I pulled him out of the train before he kept building himself into a bigger laughingstock. I gave a wave to Jasmine, who returned it in kind with a nod. So what now? I looked around. The station seemed the same as the previous ones. Giant metal plates, open doorway. I pointed at it. I think that's our destination. We'll have more time to talk once we search this place proper. Lead the way, Mr. Intrepid. He made an exaggerated gesture towards the entrance, almost folding himself over like some sort of butler. Some things never change, I guess. I took the lead anyway. How could I not have done so after that display of politeness? Once I stepped inside the tiny staircase lobby, I realized this place was actually decently lit. Perhaps it was just my eyes getting used to the relative darkness. The moment Marco walked through the doorway to ascend the staircase with me, the door closed behind us with a soft sliding sound. Right next to it, on the inside, was a small keypad. It took numbers. I see, so we're trapped. I guess we have to find the code to reopen the door, or just move further in. You'd think Smiley would have put us here directly and avoided the train business. Whatever the case is, let's get going already. I'm starting to get really hungry. Maybe we'll find some food here. I don't think Smiley would let us die from starvation, since we're his lifeblood, yeah? Food seemed to be wishful thinking. Still, there was no point in wasting time, so we went up the stairs. What awaited us was rather strange, to be honest. It was a library. There were rows upon rows of books. The bookshelves were completely filled to the brim. Here and there were a few little computers scattered around, but most importantly was the fact that there were windows. Unfortunately, all the windows had metal plates bolted over them. We weren't getting those open anytime soon. There was one window which was uncovered, but when I looked through it, I saw a very bizarre sight. It was some kind of weird, small room. I assumed this was the scanner Smiley mentioned previously. This is our exit then. Not that I'd been able to leave at that moment, since going through there would have probably killed me if I tried. Our search eventually showed us that there were a bunch of benches to relax or read books on, and some tables and seats were off to the sides. And this place is rather big at that. Oh look, there's a little map here. You can see how big this place is, and that must be the exit room up there. That would certainly come in handy. This place was decently big. I'll take care of this side and you look through the other side. Just let me know if you find anything cool or interesting. Like an ice pop? I said cool, not cold. I'm obviously talking about leaving this room ASAP. Codes, objects we can take and such. Roger then. Bye. Marco split up from me as I took in the size of the room. There were so many books in this place, I was sure I could have stayed there my whole life reading one a day and still not be done by my death. Oh, here we go. Let's crack the code time. I love that animation though, it's great. There's a shit ton to look at. Let's start by talking to Marco. You know, now that I think about it, your outfit's made me a lot hungrier than I thought I was. You work at a pizzeria, right? Pizza Hut, was it? Pizza Hut? Driving around the city delivering food for people with futures. That's my job. What about it? Why are you in that getup today? Didn't you have some exams? I had shifts this morning before the exams. You'd be surprised how much people order pizza in the early hours of the day. They're absolutely insane, I take it. Well then, if delivering food for people with futures is your job, you should pay yourself a pizza then. Finals went well and you got a future, right son? I tried to avoid outright declining to get a pizza, even if my grimace was probably telling. Maybe, I just don't know where I'm going. So about that future, it's not that bright. He shrugged, not pursuing the topic any longer. It seemed like I just dodged the topic of the pizza. He dodged one about the future. We all had our fair share of worries. And don't call me Simon here, call me S. We have nicknames for a reason. Alright, let's start looking around, shall we? I really wanted to sit down, but if I did, I knew Marco would make fun of me. Even worse, it would make our search go by much slower. So I decided to abandon the idea. But if I ever had a reason, I'd definitely take it. Look, an ATM. I'm going to use it to get some money out. He pushed a few buttons. Nothing happened, so he pushed some more. At some point, he stopped pushing buttons and started mashing his hand down on the machine. Hey, whoa! Stop with the rage against the machine. The thing isn't working, and now you're telling me I have to stop listening to music too? It's probably not even an ATM. Why would there be an ATM here anyway? This is a library. Yeah, but... Okay, fine, it's a library, so stop making so much noise. To pay your late fees, of course. I abandoned the pursuit, choosing not to point out that he was causing a much bigger ruckus than I ever would have done. I took a moment to appreciate the architecture of this place. While I didn't really have a job related to that field, I was still allowed to admire the handiwork. Next to it was some kind of painting. I didn't recognize what it was, just some kind of landscape. A few of those were disseminated around these parts. I saw Marco stare at a plant. It was pretty rude of him, so I went over there to tell him to stop doing that right this instant and learn some manners instead. However, when I came nearer, he lifted a hand as if to tell me to stop. Hold on. Plant, plant. Another one of your dumb jokes. They're not dumb. And no, I just remembered. I knew a girl named Plant before. Really? That's kind of weird. It's not really a name, more like someone's last name. No, it wasn't her first name, you dumbass. It was like, oh yeah. He snapped his fingers and his face lit up as if he discovered the secret to immortality or something as equally important. Her name was Anastasia Plante. She was a little silly in the head. I remember her. She had white hair, really weird. I don't know if it was due to a condition or... Anyway, at least her name wasn't Anus Europe? Or something even weirder like Anus America? Yeah. Didn't know you even knew other people. We learn things every day. He looked at me like a sad puppy as I chose to disregard his dumb joke, and then after I gave him a pat on the shoulder to reassure him in his trying time, we split up again. That was terrible. There was an area back there with a desk, a bin, some bookshelves, and a chair. It was a little cozy, but there wasn't enough space for anyone to really study there. Looking up, I saw there was a hole in the middle of the second floor, surrounded by more railings. Falling over would prove difficult, though that hole was a little silly too. It'd be what I would expect of a mansion or something, but this corner was far too small to constitute that. Probably just for aesthetics. Probably. Hello, yes, I'm here to return the first edition of Her Bright Immaterials. There's no one behind that counter. I'm behind the counter. No, you're in front of it. I'm behind the counter for whoever would be on the other side. That doesn't... it's... While he thought about what I said, I slipped away unnoticed. Quick, he's in brain mode. You'll never notice us leaving. I couldn't get up there alone. There was no ladders tall enough in the room unless we stacked enough books, which would take a year or so to do, and be very dangerous to climb. We weren't getting up there. It would make an inaccessible second floor. Maybe it's not meant to be accessible because it's not a real library. What if it's just a replica? Or if the books up there are duds. But why? I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to make this into a believable living space. Like a big study room. Anyway, maybe we can get up there if one lifts the other. You think I'm gonna lift you up there? You got some kind of delusion. It's all good. I could do it instead. I'm okay with it. Maybe if it ends up being necessary, then fine. Just don't drop me. Never gonna let you down. Oh my god. This guy. I want to team up with someone else. Near the counter was a rather large poster, so we wouldn't miss it. It read, "Please be quiet. This is a library." Did you read that, Em? I guess we're gonna have to be silent now, or else we'd anger the librarian, and then we'd be banned from the library. Well, there doesn't seem to be anyone around, so I guess I'll be the librarian, and my first action will be to smash our exit open. Though, all I currently have in order to do so are my bare hands. If you really want to do that, then go ahead. I don't want to hurt my fist just pounding on it. Remember Ray and how he tried to slam open that door? Yeah. Our best bet to escape this place is someone saying my name 3 times in rapid succession. Marco Martin. How do you feel? Still trapped because you summoned me here, where I already was, you buffoon. Okay, that's funny. Between us both, I definitely wasn't the buffoon. You buffoon. This place had a bunch of garbage bins strewn around. They were all in locations close to the wall, even if normally they were situated in more accessible places, just in case you dropped trash behind them by mistake. If Smiley wanted us to live here for a long time, at least we're not short on suitable housing for Ray. He patted the top of a bin. Leave it to you to turn everything we find into a joke. Okay, I'm starting to like you now. I looked inside the bin. Who would hide anything inside a bin anyway? Wasn't that unsanitary? Who gives a shit about that? Having your head cut off's unsanitary. Well, actually, it's not unsanitary because it cauterizes it and everything, so I guess it's not good for your health though, right? Smiley didn't know proper hygiene etiquette. After much consideration, I didn't either, since I assumed there would be something inside the bin. I tried moving it, but it was strongly bolted to the floor, preventing me from doing so. Hey, are all the bins stuck to the ground? Yep. I checked the others already. Actually, that reminds me, one of them had something. He produced a book out of nowhere. I repulsively grimaced at that. Marco, that was in the trash. Doesn't look terrible to me. I think it'll be useful. The book is called Codex. The title is a study on the variables of the head. Weird. It has a key with an eye for a handle on the cover. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Why is that kind of book here? Aren't we in one of the installations of the MTS? The MTS stood for the Montreal Transport Society, which was the company that regulated everything related to the metro, from the trains to the tickets to the staff. I thought Smiley might have been a member of that staff, now that Marco had brought it up. If he wasn't, how did he manage to do all this? I'll keep the book, do you mind? Nope. Feel free to go study it if you want. I had to look for somewhere suitable to read this. Let's go sit down. Well, we said if we'd ever find an excuse to sit down, we'd take it. I sat down with the book Marco handed to me. I decided this would be the perfect place to start studying it. Plus, this is really good for my ass, sitting here. Oh shit, I'm missing something. Upon opening the book, I saw that it actually was empty of writing. Shit, we gotta write the book first and then read it? The entire thing was like one of those Bibles with an empty slot where a drunkard priest would put beer in some B movie. And it's locked. The little box has a golden lock, so until I find something to unlock it, that's the end of the road for that idea. I stood up and continued my search for a key. Guess we're going upstairs. I ascended the stairs. On the second floor, there were about as many books as there were on the first floor. And yes, first floor, because it was the first on the ground. I didn't live in England. Actually, I was wrong about that. This wasn't the first floor, was it? We were underground. Yeah, it's probably a basement floor. I took a moment to contemplate that idea. If we hadn't been underground, we would have been on the second floor. But since we were, I was on something like... Okay, so we're like England here, I think. Ground floor is the bottom floor. First floor is the first floor above the ground floor. I held my mouth in shock. I probably was overground now. Actually, because we took a flight of stairs up from the metro in the first place. Oh, we're above ground. Maybe this is a way to leave this room and escape to the streets. No chances. The windows are bolted shut, and this is just a secret between you and I. He spoke to me from below. I actually managed to pull one of those plates off, and behind it was just a flat, solid wall. The windows here? He shrugged in disbelief. They don't exist. I wonder if this place really is above ground. Interesting. It's got fake windows. The clock gave me the creeps, and I couldn't understand why. Because it's got fucking writing on it. Maybe I'd be able to know the exact reason once I figured out its purpose. TMJHSLAGED. Okay, I don't know. Since I was up there already, I chose to check for anything special I could find in the bookshelves. There were just so many books though. But there was also some empty spaces between them. In one of them I found a gold key. Yes! The handle was shaped like an eye. All you have to do is find the key. To find the key is to open your eye. Done with the second floor, I walked back down the stairs. Now we can open that biatch. I opened the book after I sat down. That clock's got to be something to do with the puzzle here though, right? While open, it became clear the book had nothing in it except a larger compartment void of pages cut out in the middle of it all. A golden lock guarded the compartment, which I soon made quick work of by using the key with the eye handle. Nice. This cover was a dead giveaway. Inside the compartment was another key, but this time it was black and the tiny handle was shaped like a clock. Ah. It was actually really, really tiny too. Is this some sort of winding key? A key with a clock on it in the Codex? Does that mean anything? Inside the compartment were some instructions for the key. My spot is at the end, after every other. As the milliseconds add up to hours, line me. I felt like I was really close to solving this room. I don't know what that means. I figured the key, which I'd found looked like a clock, would be useful on the clock itself. Standing before it, I pushed it inside the middle bits, regulating the hands. They could move. My spot is at the end of the line. The end of the line, after all the others. Looking at the clock and what letters were on it, I realised what was weird. Oh yeah, it's got letters and 4 clock hands, not just 3. Wait, so that means one's the hour hand, one's a minute hand, one's for seconds, and one's for milliseconds. 4 letters. Try last, maybe. It's at the end, after everyone else, and it has 4 letters. Marco sprung up next to me, having overheard what I'd been solving. Here goes. I twisted the winding key to work the hands over, and once they were aligned to make the word last, the clock opened. Behind, in the wall, was a safe that seemed a bit cold to the touch. It's refrigerated. Let's see what's inside. He brought out some sandwiches and a piece of electronics, like a small tablet with a code on it. That's most likely our password to get out. But why is there food here? I don't care, I'm hungry. He swiped one and I took the other. I didn't trust the sandwiches because this seemed really strange, but since Marco was biting down on his and didn't fall dead, I figured there may not have been any problem with them. I just couldn't understand why. A few minutes passed while we ate our sandwiches. Marco was looking at the half-eaten sandwich. Something struck him as he pointed at it. Hey, remember when we said something about sandwiches? Swallow, then talk. It's not polite to talk with your mouth full, and I don't understand anything you're telling me. He took a few seconds to do that, finishing up the bite he was chewing. I shook my head in complete derision. What he wanted to say was apparently so important he'd risk not being able to understand. I just remembered, sorry about that, what I was talking about earlier, about hunger. Remember how I said when you get hungry you don't really get hungry? I remember that, but it doesn't make any sense. Well, think of it that way. When you get hungry, your stomach goes growl, and you go, oh my god, I'm hungry. That's because your stomach sends a signal to your brain to tell it, yo, I gotta eat, bro. How long do I gotta starve? What you're feeling is basically that. But suppose that your head wouldn't be connected to your body anymore, and you'd still stay alive by some miracle. Your stomach would still growl, but you wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't feel the hunger anymore. That means your stomach is what gets hungry, and the head is what knows the stomach is hungry. Does that make sense? Like, it's a signal, well, that's what I'm trying to explain. But isn't it enough that you get that signal anyway? Yeah, that makes you feel hungry, but you aren't hungry. He poked my stomach. I pulled away a little to avoid his finger, but he already poked me. Get it now? What you just felt is the same way. I didn't touch you. In fact, I didn't even touch your body. All I touched was your shirt. And your shirt, well, it's connected to your skin, which is connected to your nerves, which are connected to your brain. Every touch is a signal, a sense. But did I really touch you? Now that's the question. I looked at him with a victorious gleam in my eyes. Oh, this time, he was the one who would get joked on. Are you trying to create some sort of defense in case you get arrested for bad touch? Marco lifted his hands in defense of himself. Oh, come on, no, of course not. I wouldn't do that. And I'm sure that'll fly real well with your eventual wife. She'll say, you were really good in bed today, I loved it. And then you reply, oh, I didn't really touch you, that was just a signal. This time I managed to make him avert his eyes. Simon, 1 point. Marco, 5,367 points. Maybe. The score was really lopsided. Hey, don't delay the lunch either. We gotta eat and get out of here. Right, you got me, fine. I'll just finish eating. Even though we were done exploring this place, evidenced by the fact that we had the password to escape, I felt as though we had yet to see one of the locations. Back out in the hallway, a locked door barred my progress. It quickly came open with the password we found. Inside was a stranger room. The best way to describe it was a bottleneck. The room was somewhat wide at first, but it led into the little hallway that could only accommodate the width of one person. And the hallway also had a strange blue glow on the walls, ceiling and floor. Some sort of checkpoint? Looks dangerous. I definitely don't want to cross this until we know what to do with it. Since we're on a bit of a schedule with the other groups also most likely finishing their exploration, I decided against looking at things more closely here for the time being. Hey Marco, you wouldn't believe what I found. What? Did you find the exit? No, wait, that's believable. Did you find the Queen of England? I found the exit. Great. Let's go then. No, I don't think that's a good idea. See, it had these scanners or something. I think it's going to check if we have the 9th person with us. If we don't... Marco didn't seem like the adventurous type today, so he wordlessly agreed to leave that alone for now. What have you been up to while I went to check that? I went downstairs and entered the password. Both sides are now open. Alright, let's head back. Sure. We could also head further in by using the train on the same side we came here on, but that would cut us off from the rest. Probably not wise to do. Then again, what even is wisdom? Waited for him to continue on that thought, but he simply shrugged. I don't know, I guess that's a rhetorical question. Sometimes people do stupid things. Yeah, I bet you know a lot about that. While I gave him some sass, I moved downstairs followed by him. He grumbled some sort of retort, but I knew he had nothing to strike back with. Once we arrived at the station, past the little lobby, we waited for the train in silence. Usually it would take a while, but I had a feeling Smiley might have rigged the place to make it go faster. He probably wouldn't want whatever he was trying to do to make us take forever. The train arrived just as I guessed, and we boarded it momentarily. Alright, it seems like the perfect time to wrap it up because we are out of time for this episode, but we finished the first station? Normally it's room, but station, I guess, in this case. So I guess we're moving on to the next available station that hasn't already got people working on it. I don't know. Maybe we'll meet someone on the train. I don't know that either. Guess we'll find out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.